Hi, my name is Rich Hanlon. I'm pastor of Athens United Methodist Church in Athens, Pennsylvania, and I welcome you to this week's pre-sermon Bible study video. I invite you to go ahead and get your Bible, and we're going to open our Bibles up to Genesis chapter 37. Now, have you ever felt like the more you try to change things in life, the bigger mess you end up making? That's the case for Joseph and his brothers. Joseph and his brothers, these are the sons of Jacob. So we are still following the narrative of the family of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Now we're talking about Jacob's sons. This Sunday, I'll be preaching on kind of the end of the story that involves Joseph in Genesis. But let's do this Bible study by taking a look at the beginning of Joseph's story. So let's open our Bibles to Genesis chapter 37, and I will offer some brief commentary at various places along the way as we take a look at the mess that Jacob's sons made. So verse 1 starts like this. So Jacob settled again in the land of Canaan, where his father had lived as a foreigner. This is the account of Jacob and his family. When Joseph was 17 years old, he often tended his father's flocks. He worked for his half-brothers, the sons of his father's wives, Bilhah and Zilpah, but Joseph reported to his father some of the bad things that his brothers were doing. Now, when you were younger, did you have a sibling or a friend who was known as the tattletale? Right? If you went and did something that maybe you shouldn't have, there was that one person that you knew if they found out, your parents were going to find out too. That was Joseph. Among his brothers, he was the tattletale, and that's how they knew him. So the story continues. Jacob loved Joseph more than any of his other children because Joseph had been born to him in his old age. So one day, Jacob had a special gift made for Joseph, a beautiful robe. You seen the play, Joseph's Technicolor Dreamcoat? Yeah, that's the one. But his brothers hated Joseph because their father loved Joseph more than the rest of them. They couldn't say a kind word to him. So not only is Joseph labeled as a tattletale by his brothers, he's also Dad's favorite. As you can imagine, this may have been difficult for Joseph's siblings to bear. But that's not all. One night, Joseph had a dream, and when he told his brothers about it, they hated him more than ever. Listen to this dream, Joseph told them. We were out in the field, tying up bundles of grain. Suddenly, my bundle stood up, and your bundles all gathered around and bowed low before mine. Joseph's brothers responded, So you think that you will be our king, do you? Do you actually think that you will reign over us? And they hated him all the more because of his dreams and the way he talked about them. There's another dream that Joseph has, and he dreams that the sun, the moon, and 11 stars bowed low before him. And this time he told the dream to his dad. He told the dream to Jacob. And Jacob scolded Joseph, saying, What kind of dream is that? Will your mother and I and your brothers actually come and bow to the ground before you? And while his brothers were jealous of Joseph, Joseph's father wondered what those dreams might mean. So the story continues, and then we come to the point where one day Joseph's brothers are out in the fields tending their father's flock ahead of Joseph, and Joseph is on his way out to meet them. And the story continues like this. Joseph's brothers saw Joseph coming. They recognized him from a distance. As he approached, they made plans to kill him. Here comes the dreamer, they said. Come on, let's kill him and throw him into one of these cisterns. We can tell our father a wild animal has eaten him. Then we'll see what becomes of his dreams. But when Reuben heard of their scheme, that's Reuben's one of Joseph's brothers, Reuben came to Joseph's rescue. "Let's not kill him," he said. "Why should we shed any blood? Let's just throw him down into this empty cistern here in the wilderness. Then he'll die without our laying a hand on him." Reuben was secretly planning to come back and rescue him later. So when Joseph arrived, his brothers ripped off the beautiful robe that he was wearing. Then they grabbed him and threw him into the cistern. Now the cistern was empty, so there was no water in it. Then just as they were sitting down to eat, they looked up and saw a caravan of camels in the distance coming toward them. It was a group of Ishmaelite traders taking a load of gum, balm, and aromatic resin from Gilead down to Egypt. Judah said to his brothers, "What will we gain by killing our brother? We'd have to cover up the crime. Instead of hurting him, let's sell him to those Ishmaelite traders. After all, he's our brother, our own flesh and blood." And his brothers agreed. So when the Ishmaelites, who were Midianite traders, came by, Joseph's brothers pulled him out of the cistern and sold him to them for 20 pieces of silver. And the traders took him to Egypt. Sometime later, Reuben was the one who was secretly planning on rescuing Joseph. Reuben returned to get Joseph out of the cistern. When he discovered that Joseph was missing, he tore his clothes in grief. Then he went back to his brothers and lamented, "The boy is gone. What will I do now?" Then the brothers killed a young goat and dipped Joseph's robe. Remember that beautiful colored robe that Joseph's father gave him? His brothers took that robe and they dipped it in the goat's blood. Then they sent the beautiful robe to their father with the message, "Look what we found. Doesn't this robe belong to your son?" Their father recognized it immediately. "Yes," he said, "it is my son's robe. A wild animal must have eaten him. Joseph has clearly been torn to pieces." Then Jacob tore his clothes and dressed himself in burlap. He mourned deeply for his son for a long time. His family all tried to comfort him, but he refused to be comforted. "I will go to my grave mourning for my son," he would say, and then he would weep. Meanwhile, the Midianite traders arrived in Egypt, where they sold Joseph to Potiphar, an officer of Pharaoh, the king of Egypt. Potiphar was captain of the palace guard. This ends our story for today. Wow. Boy, did they make a mess, huh? And remember, we started this conversation by acknowledging that it sometimes, maybe a lot of the time, when we try to change things, to fix things, we end up making a bigger mess than we ever started out with. And that seems to be the case here with Joseph and his brothers. They ended up selling him into slavery. It broke his father's heart. And of course, Joseph's brothers, I'm sure, were all affected by this, even if they did feel like it would be better for them if he wasn't there. I wonder how they felt when he actually was gone. Of course, we know that his brother Reuben was sorry that this happened. What a mess. But this isn't the end of Joseph's story. This is really only just the beginning. And while we will see, if you want to go ahead and read chapters 38 to 45, you will get a good idea of what I'm going to be preaching on Sunday. Because while we consider what a mess these sons of Jacob made, on Sunday we'll take a look at how God worked through the mess in some very profound ways. This is a story of some pretty ridiculous drama. It's also a story of redemption. It's a story that helps to share us more of the fullness of the truth of God's love and grace. This is a story of redemption not only for Joseph, but for his whole family, even his brothers who had wronged him. So I hope that you will come and join us for our Sunday worship experience this week at Athens United Methodist Church. You can participate via live stream by going to the church's Facebook page, 10 a.m. on Sunday morning, or you can just, if you live in the area, come on over. We're going to have an outdoor worship service this week. We're going to set up our lawn chairs. Of course, we will be wearing masks, but we'll set up our lawn chairs 6 feet apart from our neighbors. And last couple of times we had outdoor services, there were about 60 present. We had a great experience. We even had some bald eagles fly over. What a joy it is to gather and worship God, to give thanks for the priceless treasure of our relationship with Jesus in the context of such a wild and beautiful space as that which we have here in Athens. And so I hope you've enjoyed this pre-sermon Bible study video, and I hope to see you Sunday, and I'll definitely see you next time.